How are we doing, everybody? So bear with me. I am hoping that this is streaming live. So we're going to get started. I'm going to check this out. Let's see. All right. So it looks like we have some people watching. All right. That means it's going live. We're going to wait a few minutes till we get some more people checking this out, and then we'll get started. For those people watching, I really appreciate all the support I've been getting from everybody, all the likes, the comments, the ideas. I really appreciate it. Hi, everybody. So this is exciting for me. I just started a few months ago painting with my kids, and found out I wasn't too bad at this. So I've been expanding, trying new things, listening to ideas, watching. Hi, Mom. My mom's watching, everybody. Hope you're feeling better, Mom. I've been watching videos, learning some new things, getting ideas from everybody. So I really appreciate everything that everybody's been sending me, ideas of your art, what inspires you. This is great. I love it. So I'm going to dive right in. We got quite a few people watching now. We're 35, 36 people. So I'm going to get started. This is really simple. This is kind of my signature piece. We're going to do a metallic tree. It's kind of something I started doing a while ago and just love it. So trees are really important to me. If you can't see, I already have a tree I designed a tattoo of, so it's kind of really important to me. So I'm going to dive right in and kind of get going. So what we're doing today is a teal metallic. Acrylics is what I use. We're also going to throw in a little bit of a hint of silver, just to add some highlights. We're also going to be using white and black. So really simple, not a ton of colors. It's not real busy. It's very easy to manage. The good thing about acrylics, and I guess bad for some people, is that it dries rather quickly. So I usually do a full piece like this, which is a 16 by 20 in about an hour, a little less. And as it dries, there's different phases that I kind of go through to get the effects that I want. And so I'm just going to dive right in. So what I have here is some white and some black. We're going to just do a white and black background. I also have these. They're just random paint brushes I picked up at Dollar General. Super inexpensive. I think they're $2 a piece, and they're really great. You can go through quite a few different paintings with those. I'm going to use two of those, one for black, one for white. I also have two smaller brushes. I don't know if you guys can see those. This one's a lot finer. I use that for the tips of the branches and highlighting. This one's a little bit bigger, and you use that to kind of frame out the tree. So we're going to kind of get started. I usually listen to music, but since I'm doing this, I thought that might be a little distracting, so we'll kind of get going. I'm going to tip you down here so you can kind of see more of what I'm doing. Bear with me here. I got this kind of rigged up, so hope you enjoy. So I'm going to kind of give you a little instruction as we go. I start with a good dollop of white paint on the brush here and just kind of make a swirly kind of middle section here. That's going to be the highlight of kind of the moon glow. That just kind of gives us a focal point. And then I put that brush down. I'll grab the black. One thing I like to do is make sure on a new brush like this is a lot of times the little hairs and fibers fall out and get in your painting. Really annoying. So I try to just kind of break them in, make sure there's no scragglers kind of hanging out there. And we're going to want to make sure that we get a pretty good sizable chunk of black on here. And we're going to paint the corners. I don't know if you can kind of see that. Maybe I'll back you up a little bit. There we go. Awesome. So we're going to get the corners painted. And the reason I start there is because then we want to paint the edges so that if we're giving this to someone or selling this to somebody, they're going to not have to frame this. It looks good from all angles when they're hanging it on the wall. Gets a little messy on your fingers sometimes, but We're just gonna go ahead and pause through this really quick. Oh man, look at that. We got quite a few people watching, so thank you guys for joining us. We're just gonna kind of do a real quick piece here and try out a new metallic color. For those of you who didn't see that, we're gonna do a metallic teal. These edges don't have to be super thick. You really don't want them to, so they're not dripping all over the place. Just enough to cover it, just a little quick layer. Okay, cool. So our edges are done. I don't ever really do the top, just because you don't really need to, unless people are going to be putting it down low. Usually most people don't. So, all right, let's get this covered here real quick. Sorry, I got an uneven table here. Yeah, still does it. All right. I tend to work pretty quick, just because most of my blending gets done while it's still wet. So you don't want it to super dry, and then you start getting some clumpiness to it. All right, so we're gonna even out what we have. We don't need to go in for any more at this point because you don't want it to get too muddy. Muddy means when they all blend together and it starts getting kind of this weird gray color. All right, so remember we do have the white in the middle, so we're just gonna kind of work our way towards that. All right, so we got a pretty good base layer of black. We are gonna go in with the black brush and grab some white. So you got black and white there. And kind of just work in this middle area. Some of that gray, and we're gonna kind of push a little of that excess into the black. Real simple. And you're gonna see that it picks up black as you bring it towards the white and the gray. So just remember that too, that you don't pick this brush up and then go here, because then you're gonna see a real dark area. So we're gonna kind of work this out towards the edges. See how I did that? It actually got some darkness to it. I don't know if you can see that, but that's what happens if you grab it where it's dark and bring it into the light. You'll try to chase that darkness. You don't really want to do that. So we're just this is where I'll get frustrated sometimes if you're using a color and you put the color in here where I grab that white, because then it'll black can really muddy that up. All right, so we got a good little more white. Come in here. You can see it's getting a little lighter this time. Remember, we got that white right in the middle. So once we get to that, you'll see it really starts to, we're gonna pick up some of that white, grab a little bit more. Make sure you get all the canvas covered. You'll see little bits of it that you missed. You can kind of just work your way through this. Come back. You can always grab a little bit more white if it gets too dark in the middle, but work these edges a little bit. You see the kind of layering that's happening there. You got dark on the edges. You got the lighter in the middle. It's starting to look really cool right off the bat. We got lucky here. Now this is where you can kind of get a little screwy. If you pick up some dark and you start kind of coming towards the middle, you're gonna see that black follows it, and it might get too dark for you. So I'm gonna stop right there. I don't feel like I need to kind of monkey with it a whole lot. So what I'll do is I'll kind of bring some of this kind of grayish color, slap it down here just a little bit. This will give me something to put against the background when I actually do start to land, which we're gonna throw down here in a second. I just want to feather those edges so that they look realistic. So we're just kind of grabbing a little dark, making those edges a little darker, and we got a pretty good highlight. I think it looks great. All right, so still wet. We're still gonna blend some of this. We grab right back into that black, and we're gonna make two hills. And I always start with this side because I like to have my tree on the full hill coming this way. You can do it either way. Start here, just drag down, And you'll see that it's picking up a little bit of that gray, which is great because then that actually acts as a highlight on the hill. So you have the moon glow that's kind of hitting this hill, and you'll want it nice and dark towards the bottom, obviously with the shadows and stuff. So you grab a little more black, throw some black in here towards the bottom, work your way back to the top. You're going to see a nice highlight right along that top edge, which is perfect. Hey, we're doing all right for our first video. Appreciate you guys sticking around. We're up to 90 people. Thank you guys for watching. So this is going to be our focal hill, our one that we show the most detail and things in with the tree. So we're going to put this one a little bit higher just to give it a little bit more of an optical focus. Again, grabbing some black. We're going to go right in on this. Cool, look at that. So we got a little highlight to it. We don't need to add anything to it. We actually picked up the color from the background. Now we got a darker hill in the background and a lighter hill in the front, which is perfect because then it adds some contrast to it. Let's see, we got any questions? Anybody asking anything we want to find out? Everybody's just kind of hanging out and seeing what's up. All right, I like it. All right, so we have the black and white still here. I used way too much. That happens a lot. Maybe I was a little excited about tonight. So we're gonna grab our teal, get that shaken up, because a lot of these metallic ones are they kind of mix and blend a little bit, and they're a little funny. So I want to make sure we get. Oh, look at that! That is pretty. All right, a good bit of that on there, and we'll just throw a little bit of silver in there. Thanks for all the hearts and the love. You guys are awesome. All right, so you can see those colors a little bright. So we got some metallics going on. Super fun. Now, question is, what brushes do I use for the trees? I don't. I use sponges. So what we like to do is get the base of the tree kind of squared, framed in. I don't know if you guys can see everything that's going on here. Bringing it a little closer now. We're going to kind of get a little more detail going on with the trees. So there we go. All right, so trees you can't really screw up. Now I don't want to jinx myself, but you can kind of just make it wiggle, swiggle, whirly, swirlies, however you want. I like to start just a little bit below the horizon line for the tree, so it doesn't look like, you know, we're in second grade and we're just doing it right from the top. And we can kind of just start however we want. Just wiggle it out. And you can always kind of correct these, you know, as you go. They gotta have a little character to them. And then you just kind of fill it in from there. The trees, obviously people know that they get thinner as they go up. So this is the thickest we're gonna see is this base layer here. If you're watching, if you can see that. And then we're gonna just kind of frame this in a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit more bigger branch or more detail to the branches with a smaller brush once we get the foliage on, but we're just going to kind of get an idea of where we're going with this. So let me give some character to this tree, some fun branches here. This one's going to go up and kind of out. You can't really mess this up. That's the cool part of like trees and snowflakes and stuff. Everything's different. Every one of them's different. So I try to remind myself of that when I'm doing these, to try something different, do something funky. You walk out into a woods and you see trees, they're all going to be different. So you just kind of have fun with it. I know people have sent me some pictures of their trees and they don't like them for whatever reason. Just practice. Go look at some trees. That's my best advice is go look at trees. Go look at gnarly ones, go look at thin ones, go look at tall ones, short ones, whatever ones, dead ones laying on the ground. They're all going to be different. And so you just kind of go from there and start drawing them. I kind of designed and drew the tattoo on my arm and just played with it, and it flowed and felt right. And so it's kind of the same way with these. Now remember, you got your highlight here. So the glow of everything is going to be on this side of the tree, on this side of the branches. So think about that because we're going to highlight that later. So anything that you want dark, make sure is on this side of the tree. And you add a little extra paint to those sides. in the undersides of some of these branches, because we're going to highlight the tops of those. So, and it doesn't need to be perfect, because we're going to come in later with some highlights and really kind of give this tree some character, especially with the bark. We're going to add some other branches later. We're just kind of getting an idea of the framework of what this tree is going to look like. Cool, we're there. All right, now for the fun part. I get to have some fun with sponges. All right, so as you can see, these are sponges I picked up at, you can get some at Meijer's, Michael's, Walmart. I got these at Hobby Lobby. If you can really see, you get the ones with lots of fuzzy texture. That's going to give you some extra fuzziness to the tree. If you get flat ones, it's going to flatten them out and it's not going to give it much character. So I like to find ones with points like this, because then as you do the tree branches, you can see that they're going to have more of a tip to them. So we'll pick one of these and go for it. I like this one. All right, so remember, dark side of the tree here, light side of the tree here, because we're going to have the highlights coming in. So we start with this. Ooh, man, this is pretty color. Start with this metallic, and we're just going to dab it. And you don't want to get too crazy with it, because it can splatter. I've had that happen. So we're just going to kind of come in here. Hope you can see kind of what we're doing here. I'll just use my left hand so you can see. You kind of twist and turn it, and then you just build the framework of your tree. Now I like to, remember this is wet too, so if you come in here, you're going to pick up black on that. So we're going to save that part for a little bit later. I'm just kind of going to build the framework of this nice and slow, not picking up too high to have the splatter come out. And I want this to kind of walk down here, and you can see it kind of in front of the white. It looks super cool in the gray. This is a perfect sponge for this, because you can see that it almost has a little bit of point to the end of it here. All right, we lost a couple folks. Must have been boring. I guess I need to learn some jokes or something. Or they're just staying up past their bedtime. All right, so we got about the height we need. Now remember, this is kind of the base layer, so we're also going to throw on some silver and some white as highlights and accents to this. So we don't need to go much higher than this. We're going to throw a little bit over here, because this, we want to make it look like it's run off the page, like it's not just hanging out there. I'm going to go a little higher. Cool. Oh yeah, loving it. All right, perfect. Let's go a little bit more here. You don't want a square tree. Don't see a whole lot of those around, unless they're a bonsai tree or something and you guys are making them like that. All right, so we need a little more height. Cool. And you can, as you put more on, it's going to thicken up and thin out if you dab too much in one place. So stay moving it around quite a bit. All right, we're starting to get a little funky squareness to this, so let's round it out a little bit. There. Okay, cool. All right, now I'm going to come back into the tree part where we are going to pick up a little black, and that's okay, because we want it to be a little darker around where the tree is, because it's more of a low light and a shadow underneath that, because the highlight's coming from the back of the tree. All right, so we're getting close. We're almost there. We can start adding some other colors into it. Cool. All right, add a little bit down here, because we're gonna add another little branch off the bottom here. Cool. So remember, I told you we're just framing this in. We're gonna come in later and throw a couple little straggler branches that kind of tie in. All right, so now we got our base down. We're gonna add some highlights to it. And that's the silver. We're grabbing some silver. See what this looks like. Silver is not super bright as compared to like white. So we're gonna kind of work this silver. This is gonna give us some shimmer when we do hold this up to the light. So we're adding some of this to it, just as more of a highlight. And So let's say you put too much in one area and you don't like it, you can always grab some more of that turquoise or that teal, kind of go back in over top of it and add some low lights to it so it looks more natural, because the tree's not always going to have the same dimension to it. So we're adding some of those to it. Cool. We're getting there. All right, and as you can see, it just kind of picks up different highlights and colors throughout this. Now we're going to dab into some white. Let's get some white in here. Now white is bright, just keep in mind. And you're going to want to make sure that, sorry, I had a little scraggler on my sponge. All right, so you're going to keep in mind that when you dab the white, you don't want a ton of it. So we're just going to nice and lightly kind of come in here with the highlights, kind of plot out where you want these first before you get going nuts with the white, because it can kind of overload you and be a little overwhelming at first. So we're getting some white splotches in here. Again, we can come back in with some teal if we want. If you got too much white in one area, you can always come in with it a little bit more with the teal. All right, we're getting there. It's a process, so just stick with it. If you don't like it, you can always paint over it. So like down here, it looks all kind of muddy. I'm gonna throw in some teal, break it up a little bit. I like it, it's cool. All right. And then we have some left over, so we're just gonna kind of come in here. It's not super highlighted, but it does give it a little different texture with that dark background of the solid teal. And I'm just gonna kind of give it some texture. All right, we're gonna throw a little bit more white in there, and then we'll kind of move on to the next phase. All right, cool. Some highlights on the top back here. If this was shining down, we're probably gonna get a couple across the top here. So we'll throw some highlights in there just to kind of give it a little bit dimension. Not a whole bunch, because it is the back side of the tree. Cool, we're kind of there. All right. Now we can, and I'll just do this for the sake of the video, is we can throw some black in this. Again, with like the white, the black is really gonna pop off on this, so you don't want to use a ton of it. Remember, the highlights are on this side, the darks are on this side, so we want to throw a little bit of black in on this and darken this up just a hair. But again, we're going to come back in with some white and some teal, kind of come over top of it just to break it up, give it some depth. I don't know if you can see that. Hope so. All right, so we're kind of getting there. You can see you kind of move quickly with all this. It's just kind of a flow and feel to it. All right, we're gonna break this up just a little bit. This edge is it looks a little fake. So we're just gonna kind of sponge through it. All right, cool. I like it. Getting there. Again, these edges are kind of, up to you, however far you want to go out, how much ever texture you want on them. I like mine to be a little more pointed. Looks like the leaves are kind of at the end. We're getting there. We're getting there, guys. Hang with me. Cool. All right, now, everything's still wet, including our brushes. So what we're gonna do is take our nice fine brush here, brand new, right out of the box. So, and we're gonna kind of build some of these branches back in. So grab some black, and we're just gonna flow however we want to look, how we want those to look. This takes a little bit more finesse, so we're not just dabbing. And as you want to pick up your brush at the very end, so the tip's only hitting, and that leaves a finer point. Remember, as you're going through the teal, you're picking up teal on your brush, so when you go back into the black, it's going to show that teal, so be careful. All right, this is where we can get a little creative and let our minds wander a little bit with these. just keeping in mind that the tree is thicker towards the middle and thinner towards the edge, so we're just going to kind of play with these a little bit. This is where it helps to kind of take that walk in the woods and go see some trees and see what they look like. See what I mean? I picked up some teal and went right back into the black, and I got funky in me. And it's alright because we're going to use some teal to highlight this tree. You got to have a little confidence in what you do when you're doing this, because you are going right into the paint here. So we're going to throw off a little branch off the bottom of this. Make that little character there. And off the bottom of this one. Cool. Yeah, now we're just having fun. This is an awesome brush, by the way. Definitely get some thinness to it. So appreciate you guys sticking around and watching this. Alright, remember, this is this side here of all the branches is where the darkness is going to be, is the shadow of the branch. So we're going to make sure to come in here with these, and we still using black. We're going to get this. What does something like that cost? Well, this here is a 16 by 20, and I price my pieces by the size. So 16 by 20 like this is $125. If we go up to the next size, which is like this one here in the background, that's $150. All right, so we're kind of working these bottoms of these branches to give it some darkness, because we're going to come in a second with this highlight. Again, this is like coloring inside the lines, but if you screw it up, you're kind of making your own lines. So you can make those branches a little bigger if you kind of go outside of it. Can't make them smaller, that's the tough part. Oh, thanks, everybody likes the tattoos. Yeah, they're definitely a form of expression. All right, so I think we got all the darkness we need on some of those. All right, I like it. So I mean, you can add more if you'd like, more branches, more detail to them, you know, whatever. All right, so we're gonna jump back to our sponge. We still have some color left on it. This is where we're gonna kind of come in, just dab these fallen leaves very lightly, just the tips of these things. Should have still a little color left on them. You don't want it as bright as the tree, because these are like not supposed to be the focal point. And just kind of come in and dab through some of this. Don't slide it, just be really gentle with dropping that on there. Remember, you're gonna have the highlight here, the tree, so you're gonna have a nice dark area here as far as a shadow. So don't really apply too much through there. You can do a little bit. We're going to come in with black in a minute anyways. So if you do, it's not a huge issue. So this is more teal than anything. So I'm actually going to come in a second here with white. Now I dab a little bit in the white. I don't just go straight to the canvas with that. I tap it a little bit on the empty plate, just so that most of the clumpy stuff comes off and you only have the tips of it. And you just little bits. Happy little highlights, right? Yes, Bob Ross was an inspiration. That's what kind of my kids were watching when they said, "Dad, let's paint." I said, "Oh, heck yeah, why not?" And the rest is kind of history. All right, so kind of have some highlights in there. I'm going to grab just a hint more teal and go over top of some of these just to give us a little bit more pop of color. Now that we have a white base. Sorry for the noise on that. Hold it down. There we go. Should be dry anyways. All right, so we kind of have an idea of some stuff that we have going on here. Now we're just going to tap a little black, come in here and give us our shadow. A little bit more black. Black like white, I tap it down on the paper plate so that it doesn't super clump up. And we have a shadow. Cool. And it's got texture to it. You got some color coming through it. It's not all shadow and black like a paintbrush would do. So we're getting a lot of use out of these sponges. Okay, so cool. The only thing we have left to do is the highlight on the tree. So we're still using this nice long brush, and it's fine. It's got black in it. I'm going to use a couple different colors. The white is a super bright highlight, as you'll see, as we put some highlights in here. We also can use the teal, which we'll throw that in there. You'll be able to see, and remember, we're highlighting just the sides of the branches that would be exposed to this light source in the background. We'll grab some silver, see how that looks. Silver doesn't show up really great on here. It blends right in with the black, so we're going to stick primarily with white and teal. So we got highlights here on the top, and this you can kind of play with and blend it in. This takes a little bit more finesse, but you really can't screw it up a whole lot. Just remembering where your highlights are, and don't do both sides of it because there's only one light source, and that's from behind the tree off to the left. All right, cool. Hey, we still got some people following. That's cool. Thanks for sticking around, guys. This usually takes me about an hour to do one of these, so kind of rushing through this one. I don't think it's taken us that long. All right, any questions or anything here? I'll take a break and check out some questions and that sort of stuff. If you guys have them, I'll gladly answer them at the end if you're still sticking around. So this is all just kind of figuring out where the highlight is and building it as you go down, because you don't want a ton towards the top, because obviously the branches and the foliage is going to be kind of in the way. So we're throwing some of this in here. We're getting there. I like this teal color. This is sweet. You guys, don't be afraid to use some color. Don't be afraid to highlight with color. It adds some character to the tree. We got color down here. We got a little color in the tree. I want to thank a viewer and a friend of mine too, that I should not be only using white as a highlight. Sorry about that. So that's why I started using a little bit of color, just to kind of add that. Cool. All right, don't want to overdo it here either. This is kind of, you don't want super globs of white because then it looks fake. You don't see giant globs of white on a tree somewhere, so this is where you want a little tiny brush to kind of break up some of these highlights. I'm just having fun with it. This can take a little while, depending on how many branches you got. Cool. Now, if you did something a little bit too much, you can always grab some black. I'm going to come in and blend this down. And you'll see that that kind of helps take away some of that highlight, graze it up just a little bit. And I think we are ready to put a signature on this, folks. I love it. I hope you guys do. We're going to put a signature on this one and call this one good. We got any questions? Anybody? All right, so somebody's put some laminate spray over top. That's a great idea. And I'm so new to this, I'm learning all this stuff, so I really appreciate all the helpful hints and things that people have learned over the years. It's the art community is a great community to share and express kind of all your thoughts and ideas, and be welcome to sharing those things. So I appreciate you guys following and liking things and giving suggestions and stuff. So that one's in the books, folks. So again, really appreciate all the support. And here is our metallic tree. Look at that thing shine in the light. Ooh, yeah, that's pretty. All right, thank you guys for all your support and help on this. Any questions or anything else that I can answer for you guys? The price on this piece here, it is a 16 by 20, so it is $125, including shipping and all that good stuff. So yeah, and I've been shipping all over the country, so it's been super fun. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm glad we got this one out of the way. So I'll be doing more of these. I will let you know when, so you guys can follow along. And I would love to see you guys try this and see if see what you come up with. And please send them my way. I love seeing you know, followers pieces and that sort of thing. So again, we got a couple people jumping in, so I will show you guys the final product one more time. We got a nice shiny teal tree with highlights and in both teal and white. Nice cool background. Those colors really pop off there. So any other questions, or let's see, what about the yeah. Any other thoughts or questions or anything like that? We got a couple more minutes, and then I'm gonna hop off, and I got some other cool painting projects to do. So thank you again, everybody. I really appreciate, you know, the following, the hearts and the likes and the comments. It's been amazing. I thank you all so much, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.